degenerates go jerk somebody off and put money into his bank account, like the homo that you are. You're degenerate because you're not doing anything about the collective. And the trickle down effect, what do you think that's going to do?
Exactly.
So I'm down with you. Your name is Ray, but really your name is Ray Ray. Bye, Ray Ray. No.
Welcome back to Stories from the Internet. Today, let's talk about Annalicia Chemin. Let me give you a little bit of background on this. Annalicia does live streams where she feels men, specifically black men, are not uplifting their community and rather taking a selfish, individualistic approach to life, and other races are feeling as if the black community is trash and filled with pookies and ray-rays.
So
and I don't think that
in your perfect world, what would you think that would look like? What would that look like to you?
No, the burden's not on me. I'm not a man.
Well,
I'm not suggesting. No, but
it's not a burden. It's not, I'm not asking you. No. I'm not asking you to.
That's my answer.
I'm not asking you to do it. I'm just asking
you
to.
Listen to the words that are coming out.
What does it look like to you?
Spanish. You want me to say it to you in those languages?
Okay, go ahead. Do it.
C'est pas ma journée. It's not my job.
Okay. I didn't say it was your job. I'm asking you, what would it look like? What would a collective improvement be? What would it look like to you?
What does it look like? Oh, it's not about me.
Now, this gentleman by the name of Bo asked a very important question. What is her solution to the issue she has posed on her live stream? But he didn't get a clear and concise answer. In fact, he got deflection. She didn't have an answer to her own question, and I am sure many men and women found that to be a problem.
I'm not
I didn't say this about you. I'm just asking you. I'm asking your opinion about how would you, if you're gonna criticize a collective, give a solution. Like give some constructive feedback. Like how should they improve themselves?
Hold on. First of all,
at first, I thought Annalicia was unfairly treated, especially when she was on the Saint and the Sinner, and it felt as if she didn't have really the room or the power to really get her points across. But after viewing her live streams, I was convinced that she had some sort of problem with extreme femi views. She does have a therapist, and there's nothing wrong with that, but she has many problems she has to work out, and interacting with men is one of them.
I really do. That comment really worked me up is because cluster B personality disorders, specifically borderline personality disorder, which I've never been diagnosed with clinically. But those are often, you often see patients who are diagnosed with borderline personality disorders. They're children, or they're people who come from very abusive and traumatic, dangerous environments. So that kind of bothered me, because borderline personality disorder and DTD, which is what I have been, and it's not a very popular diagnosis. There's not a whole lot that is known about it. I don't think it's really made it to mainstream psychiatry.
You're once again, you think that you're going to ask a black woman, what do we do? What does it look like?
No,
what
that's
does
not
it
what I
sound like?
I just
wanted
your opinion. I already know what to do, so it's not that.
No,
like,
you don't. You don't know what to do. You asked me.
But I do. I just told you what I've already been doing for the past 2 years.
Okay.
I actually mentor kids in the hood to learn how to code for 2 years. So yeah, I know what the deal I'm doing. So it's not. Don't come at me with that. Like I'm not that guy.
No, you came at
Ray,
came at yourself like that.
No,
First of all,
I already told you what I was. So no.
Okay. Goodbye.
What
you are now is removed.
Well.
So now you're removed because you're not going to checkmate me on my channel. You're removed and you're blocked. So slap your fucking self and have fucking respect. This is my channel. If you don't like the way I'm talking, you can step.
You see, It is hard to help your community in a society of individualism. I find it best to help yourself first so that you can help your community next. Money is a factor in all of this. You can't help your community without money coming into effect, such as educating the local youth. You can do it by yourself, but then how will you survive by doing this 5 to 7 days a week, 8 to 12 hours a day? You either have to work or have enough money to not need to work, and thus money is always at play.
Then you gonna get rid of Bo like that, then shit, I'm out too then. Shit, if you get rid of Bo, give me too. Shit, fuck you mean. Bye, baby.
Timothy, Wagwan. You hear this?
Hey, how are you doing?
You and I had this conversation. Like, you see what don't they understand? What's so hard?
Dear Annalicia, if anyone is a nerd, then it is you and I. You yourself have stated you spend a lot of time indoors and you don't go out much. In fact, you have said you are always on the internet. So instead of using ad hominems to insult someone when you don't like their point of view, try the Socratic method and learn and improve and get your point across in a logical manner.
Right, but I talked about they have an inflated ego. They have an inflated ego having not earned anything. Socially, you have done nothing. You have earned nothing. Do you understand? You have, your ego is so inflated. You have such an inflated sense of self. But the world looks at you and says, "Oh God, throw the whole lot away," because you produce nothing but degeneracy. You have been complacent. You have you complied. You participated in your own subjugation by doing nothing, by continuing to be subjugated, because you have an inflated sense of superiority, but you're still the collective. You're still a part of them. You're an extension of them. You can't separate, you can't divorce yourself from your blackness. You can't divorce yourself from their plight, because the world sees you and they see Pookie and fucking Ray Ray. They see degenerates. That's what they fucking see. They see bums. You are bums, perennial bums. Like, you're perennial all-star bums. That's what I'm going to call you guys. You're all-stars, but bums. For real, for real.
She has one point though. For any person of color, you can't separate yourself from that. You have to learn to accept it and move on with your life. But how she speaks about it seems to be coming from a place of hate, as if something happened to her in her life and she has a mindset that dwells in hatred for any person of color. This is self-hate, folks.
You don't go back to your community. You try to go and cohabit in the white communities. You want to pump money into their communities and their economies. And then you want to impregnate their white women and then eventually go on to leave them. And then pay child support because you got your education and you have a good paying job. That bitch is going to take you for child support. Fuck what you heard. You're not high value, because if you're high value, in order for your value to be inflated, that means the collective had to deplete them because you don't care about where the fuck they are. You're a coon. You're not high value anything. You're a buck dancing coon.
I am really picking up that something happened between her Trinidadian father and her mixed race French mother, or should I say mixed race Quebecois mother. Certain words, phrases, and thoughts aren't said unless you have some trauma to deal with that has happened in your own life, especially when you're calling other people of color coons as a blanket description term.
Well, the one thing that I'll say that you do have, other than the inflated sense of self, the inflated ego, the hypersexual overcompensation that you employ in order to keep your manhood intact while you create illegitimate bastard children. You're not in the position. You're just not in the position. The position that you're in is in the bending. Oh, you're bent over. You have been for years, for hundreds of years. That's the position that you're in. That's the position that you're comfortable being in. Well, you talk about women being promiscuous. You've been bent over.
What? Wait a second. Are you talking about slavery, Annalicia? That black men and women were comfortable being bent over in the United States of America as slaves? That isn't even something you should be talking about in jest, and suggesting that black men and women were comfortable with it. The only thing you are doing to your subscribers is creating more harm than good when you suggest these topics and issues in jest.
The reality is, in the scheme of things, you are nowhere the top in terms of political power, economic power. You is like, even in the countries where the majority black men are still not in charge, ultimately, because by far everybody else owns the industry, the commerce, the economics. We are pretty much consumers, and I guess for me, I always used to find it peculiar to think that, why do we expect the people that would have enslaved us or their descendants to really help us or care anything about our situation, and we keep looking to other people to fix our problems.
I know, I was just listening. Like, I found it kind of interesting. Like, I always find it interesting how people who are like mixed race or whatever call like other black people coons for like the decisions they decide to make in their life. I mean, do you think that's fair? Or like, if
I see a coon, I'm going to call them a coon. Are you a coon? Did you come up here to present your coonery so I can call you a coon? Otherwise, present yourself and say something that we haven't already fucking heard. Otherwise, you're gone.
Yeah, I didn't know it would be hostile like this. I was just asking a question.
It was hostile the whole night. What? Yeah,
I was just asking that question.
I answered your question. If I see a coon, I'm going to fucking call you a coon. Is that all you have to ask? You're a degenerate.
Yeah, that's all I have to ask. Oh, cool. Thanks.
Fuck off.
Like I said, when a black woman, mixed race or not, calls black men coons and degenerates as a blanket verbiage, then there is something else going on there. She has hate in her heart due to what has happened or has been taught to her through her experiences with men of color. This definitely has something to do with the dynamic between her mother and father, and or her dynamic between herself and her ex-husband.
My first inclination is thinking about women like my mother who dealt with degeneracy her entire life. Why do you feel like you can say anything to her? You're in the gutter. The world is, you're mush up, you're mingled, you're finished. The white world is not, you're not even a threat. They're not even worried about you economically. They're not. Statistically, they don't either. Statistically, they go mate and deal with white women, and then eventually leave her with her children. Yeah, single white mothers they're on the rise.
All of them?
The world, I'm telling you, the world sees a white woman with a black man and her value. Her stock goes down. That's how degenerate black men are. They bring everyone's fucking stock down. There have been studies. Do you need me to post it? Why would I ask myself that? Why wouldn't you ask yourself, what the fuck is wrong with these degenerates? Fucking help them. Why don't you ask yourself that question? Why are you worrying about?
Because they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
So the degenerates know they know what they're doing too, then, right? And you're okay with that because you question her behavior before his.
No, I'm not okay with it. I'm just telling you that they know what they're doing.
You're just a closet degenerate. Is that it? Because you question her behavior before you question his. That's degeneracy. That's bullshit. Hold him accountable. He is the one who has never been held accountable, and you want to question what women are doing.
There you have it. More deflection, fallacious arguments, and ad hominems to conceal her insecurities of what has happened to her throughout her life and the dynamics between her mother and men, as well as the dynamics between herself and men of her own generation. Fundamentally, I don't have control of another person's life, especially if I'm not their parent and they're not a part of my family. Pookie and Ray Ray can't be controlled because I do not have legal authority over them. Furthermore, Annalicia, if I'm Pookie and Ray Ray, then you are Sharkeisha.
So you want me to
I want you to have a good night because I'm obviously too heated for this. Okay, well, Tass, what do you have to say? And please, please don't be a fucking degenerate. Nothing. Fuck off then.